Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Office of the State Controller's Quick Vids training series. These videos are designed to help state agencies record and verify various accounting requirements within RSTARS based on guidance from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. I'll be walking you through the SBITA fact pattern for the example transactions that we'll be posting into RSTARS. Based on the T-value amortization schedule generated, as seen below, we have a present value of minimum future SBITA payments in the amount of $1,140,485.57. The total annual SBITA payments for fiscal year 25 are $140,000, which is split between principal and interest. The interest is $21,927.85, and the principal is $118,072.15. These are the balances used for the payment entries as seen here. It's worth noting that we opted to show the entries related to the amounts that should be seen as of year end, rather than each individual monthly payment, but the end result will be the same. In the next few videos, we will walk you through the journal entries and how to enter them into RSTARS.
I will be making the necessary entries to reflect payment for the subscription-based IT contract at year-end by recording the total expenditure payment of the SBITA. Secondly, I will be recording a balance transaction using a set of T-code pairs to reclassify the interest portion of the voucher payable entry. I've already mapped out my entries with the document numbers, T-codes, and accounting elements I will need to use. This information is shown at the right of the screen. Make sure first that you're logged into RSTARS under the correct user class to make the entry. For this entry, I am making a payment to the vendor and will be using user class 17. Once you're logged into RSTARS, navigate to the 500 screen to enter your batch header. On the 500 screen, enter your agency. I'm agency 107. You can enter a batch date, or you can leave this field blank and allow it to default to the current date. Enter your batch type. For this batch, I will be using batch type 4. Enter your batch number by following your agency's protocols for batch numbering. So I will use batch 150. You can enter a batch count and a batch amount, or you can leave these fields blank. I will enter $140,000 for this entry. The batch edit mode is set to 2, and I want to leave it there. And then you can enter an effective date or allow it to default. At this point, I will press F10 to save my header and enter into the batch. My first entry will pay for the expenditure within the governmental fund. First, I need to confirm that my effective date is correct for the fiscal month that I want the transaction to post. So the 6/30/25 is correct. And then I need to enter a due date. I'll use the same 6/30/25. At this point, then I can enter my document number. So I will use VP 03/12/25. suffix 001. And then I need to enter a transaction code. So my T code for this entry is 222. I need to enter a PCA, so 81908. And then I will enter the agency object 7009, which rolls up to comp object 7009. I will enter my amount, $140,000, and the document amount, which is the same for this entry. We'll enter my description, which is to record the total SBITA payment. And then I need to enter a vendor number and a mail code. So I'll just copy these from my entry map. At this point, I can press F4 to confirm that I have no errors and bring in any lookup fields. My lookup fields have been brought in. I don't see any errors. So at this point, I will press F10 to save my transaction. My transaction was successfully written. At this point, I can press F7 to go to the 520 screen and review my one line of entry. And then I can press F6 just to confirm that my batch is balanced. batch is balanced, so it would be ready for review and release. I will now move on to my second entry to reclassify the interest portion of the voucher payable. For this entry, I will be making a BT document entry and will need to be using user class 27 to reclassify the interest. So I'm going to switch user classes right now. Once you've logged on with the correct user class, again, navigate to the 500 screen, enter the batch header. I will enter, again, my agency is 107. I'm going to leave the batch date blank. This is batch type 4 as well. And then I will enter my batch number 151. And I will enter my batch count and batch amount, which is 2, and then $43,855.70. The batch amount is always the absolute value of the transactions within the batch. Batch edit mode is set to 2, and I'm going to leave it there, and then I'm going to leave my effective date blank. At this point, I will press F10 to enter my batch. My first transaction will use the first half of the T-code pair needed to reclassify the interest portion of this SBITA by debiting cash on deposit with the treasurer and crediting the GL expenditure control cash. For agency object 7009, the rolls up to comp object 7009, principal payment for subscription-based IT assets, all of this within the governmental fund. So first, I'm just going to confirm that my effective date is correct for the fiscal month that I wanted to post, 6/30/25. Then I need to enter my document number. So this is BT 03/12/25, suffix 001. I need to enter my reference document, which is the VP that I just entered, VP 03/12/25/001. I'm going to start with T code 416. And then I will enter the PCA 81908, and then again, agency object 7009. My transaction amount is the interest, the $21,927.85. My document amount is 0. Because this is a balanced transaction, the entries reflect the movement of the interest in and out of one comp object to another. So the document total is 0, and the document total is always 0 for BTs. I'm going to add my description. Which is to reclassify the interest portion of this SBITA. And then at this point, I can press F4 to bring in my lookup fields and to confirm that there's no errors. And then I can press F10 to save my transaction. My transaction was successfully written. The current suffix incremented to 002, and many of my lookup fields carried over from my previous entry. So I just need to update the necessary fields for my second entry, the other half of the T-code pair, which is 415. This transaction will record the interest portion of the SBITA payment within comp object 7402, interest payments for subscription-based IT assets. So I updated the T-code. The PCA is going to stay the same. I will update the the agency object, which is 7402. And then my amount, which is again the $21,927.85. The document amount is still 0, and my description is still accurate, so I'll just leave that. And then I will press F4 just to confirm I have no errors. And then I'll press F10 to save my transaction. The transaction was successfully written. At this point, I can press F7 to go to the 520 screen and review my 2 lines of entry. And then I can press F6 just to confirm that the batch is balanced. The batch is balanced. It's ready for review and release. And that concludes my entries to reflect the SBITA payment entries at year end.
We have generated the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports to verify the information was recorded properly. The examples used in these videos were created within the acceptance region. Since OBI does not include the acceptance region, we ordered the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports. But under normal circumstances, the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports within the OB repository will show the same information. These reports are used by your SARS analyst in conjunction with agency disclosures to evaluate if balances and activities are recorded correctly for proper reporting in the ACFR. Therefore, it's important to review either these DAFR reports or OB queries regularly and during the year-end closing process. Scrolling through the reports briefly, we can verify the information. In the previous portion of our training, we walked you through recording $118,072.15 for the principal payment. We see it here on the DAFR 6610 for the Governmental Fund 7059 in Agency Object 7009. This rolls up to Comptroller Object 7009, representing principal payment for subscription IT asset. This is appropriate. We also recorded $21,927.85 for the interest amount. We see it here as well in Agency Object 7402, rolling up to Comptroller Object 7402, representing interest on subscription IT assets. This is also appropriate. These transactions have been recorded correctly.